Please stand for the Star-Spangled Banner.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight, all the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Good morning. Thank you, Mayor Janey, for allowing me to pen your joy poem. I've been on a quest for joy, which is hard as a poet. Oftentimes we write about misery, but I believe that joy should be passed on the same way trauma is passed on. We have to find new ways of living. And today, I'm joined by the beautiful Danielle Butterfly. Thanks to the work of Rob Lewis, thank you for bringing us together. And this is the piece, Joy.
Joy, joy, God's great joy. Yes. Joy, joy, down in my soul, sweet, beautiful, soul-saving joy. Oh, joy, joy in my soul.
They say joy cometh in the morning, but that's contingent upon if you can keep your faith through the night. It's taking the lows with the highs. It's finding flight after you fall. It's the hypotenuse of hope, dividing peaks from valleys. It's your ability to soar over the storm like an eagle. It's learning to dance with both dusk and dawn. It's the parting of clouds making way for a rainbow, baby. It's sunshine after a long New England winter. It's seeing the icy lady on Martin Luther King Boulevard, a sure sign of a Boston summer. Joy is a black boy's smile. It's murals that breathe life into the hood. Dare I say it, radical joy be revolutionary. It's black power fist on the top of Afro pics. It's being brave enough, bold enough, black enough to go underground for freedom. It's putting joy on the black market, making it affordable, making our African ancestors accessible. It's painting the city red, black, and green. It's Sister Sage in the streets. Joy isn't gentrification. It's keeping Nubians in Nubian Square. It's going beyond your cliche terms of equity, diversity, and inclusion. Joy is a sacred circle. It's a hip-hop cipher. It's a black man's praying hands. It's learning to thrive instead of survive. It's holding on to life Joy is that teen that rethinks suicide. It's that mother who learns to mourn and still believe in miracles. It's finding your laugh after loss. It's healing after harm. Joy is the brother of sorrow. It's a warm embrace after abandonment. It's trusting your discernment. Joy is the essence of forgiveness. It's a undeserved grace on bended knee. Joy is a brother's head nod, pound, a handshake, squashing decades of block to block beef. Joy is that little black girl who looks in the mirror and sees herself as the future city councilor, congresswoman, or mayor. It's the warrior women in Washington politics fighting for our children to be able to rock beads, braids, cornrows, baldies, and afro puffs. It's changing policy so that our children can graduate and go to school with their natural hair. Joy, be resilient. Joy is progress after protest. It's us embracing this historic 100th day moment. And I know that they say that joy cometh in the morning, but dare I say it, joy be blacker than night.
So saving joy, joy, beautiful, so saving joy, oh joy, joy in my soul. God's great joy, 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 down in my soul, sweet, beautiful, so saving joy, oh joy, joy, oh joy, joy, oh joy, joy in my soul.
While today is a new day, while Boston has come so far, we must also acknowledge that we have so much more work to do. And that work starts now, starting with an unrelenting focus to address the impacts of COVID-19. We must do a better job of making vaccines accessible, especially in communities hardest hit. Our recovery must include working together on behalf of our children. That means safely reopening our schools and vaccinating our teachers. That also means investing in summer opportunities. The issues of affordable housing, fair wages, public transportation, and climate change are not new. What's different is that these problems now impact even more of us. I will address these economic disparities with new urgency to reopen Boston's economy with equity. Dismantling systemic racism also includes reforming how we police our city. Together, working with our police department, I am determined to bring safety, healing, and justice to all of our neighborhoods. We cannot go back. Our only option is to go better.
Please welcome Mayor Kim Janey.
Wow. I want to start by thanking Officer Kim Tavares for that lovely performance of the Star Spangled Banner. You have such an incredible voice, such a beautiful voice, and I want to thank you for your service to our city. I also want to acknowledge the remarkable spoken word performance by two magnificent artists, Ashley Rose and Daniel the Butterfly. You guys are so amazing, and I love you both. Thank you so much. Please, let's give them another. I also want to give a shout out to the city's digital media team for putting together that 100-day video. I am so blessed to be surrounded by such an incredible team, so thank you so much. I also want to acknowledge the elected officials that are here today. Sheriff Steve Tompkins is here, State Representative Nika Elugardo, State Representative Russell Holmes, thank you so much. Boston City Councilor Kenzie Bach is here. Boston City Councilor Ricardo Arroyo is here. I believe there were some others. I see Mara Hennigan is here. I hope I've got everyone. Each of you, though, have been incredible partners, and I'm really grateful for your leadership in our city. And I want to take a moment to especially thank members from the council who were invaluable partners in passing the budget that I know we are all proud of. This budget makes the biggest investment to date in our schools, in its infrastructure and services that our constituents rely on every single day. I also want to recognize the Honorable Simbo Siddiqui, Mayor of Cambridge, and the Honorable Yvonne Spicer, Mayor of Framingham. Mayor Siddiqui is here with us. Mayor Spicer could not get out of her meetings. I'm grateful to both of you for your sisterhood, for your partnership, and for also serving as honorary co-chairs of my Mayoral Transition Committee. Thank you so much. And it's important to note that Mayor Siddiqui and Mayor Spicer are the only other two women of color serving as mayors of cities in the Commonwealth. And so I'm grateful to have your partnership. I especially want to thank the Museum of African American History for protecting and preserving this historic meeting house that we are in today. I thank Leon Wilson, a dear friend, who is president. I thank Leon, who is president and CEO, and his incredible team for hosting us today. I also want to acknowledge my Chief Resilience Officer, Lori Nelson, for maintaining this partnership between the City of Boston and the museum. Thank you, Lori. Now take a look around. Take a look around like we're in church. Look around. Talk to your neighbor. Take a look around. The meeting house is beautiful. It exemplifies the remarkable craftsmanship and civic engagement of the early African American residents of Beacon Hill. They were educators and shopkeepers, teachers and preachers. Some were born free, and some had achieved freedom. They came together with shared values and a shared vision for Boston. They built this meeting house in 1806. William Lloyd Garrison, a journalist, founded the New England Anti-Slavery Society here. And this meeting house hosted many great speakers, among them the great abolitionist Frederick Douglass. This meeting house also has a direct connection to my church home. And I want to acknowledge that we are joined today by my pastor, Reverend Willie Broderick. The 12th Baptist Church was founded when members of this church community split to create a church with a more proactive stance against slavery. Like Boston's early Black community, 12th Baptists left Beacon Hill for Roxbury, carrying that spiritual legacy of freedom and resilience with it. Years later, Martin Luther King would serve as its assistant minister, further punctuating its legacy forward to the rest of the world. It has been 100 days since I was sworn in as the 55th mayor of Boston. And I must say that each day has been a privilege to serve and lead this city. It is the honor of my lifetime. As a child growing up in this city, my oasis on a hot summer day was the Frog Pond in Boston Common. Last month, together with Chief White Hammond and Commissioner Woods and our Parks Department, I got a chance to reopen the Frog Pond for all to use. And if you saw the news coverage, you know that I even got the chance to get my feet wet for a little bit. It had been closed for over a year due to COVID, and its reopening marked a milestone in our collective efforts to combat this pandemic. As a teenager in this city, it was my youth summer jobs through ABCD that gave me a degree of autonomy and valuable career skills and a little money in my pocket. 2 days ago, the Boston City Council passed a budget that expands those summer job opportunities for more youth in Boston and creates 1,000 additional year-round jobs for young people. As an adult in this city, I benefited from a first-time homebuyers program, which helped me purchase the house that I still live in today. And together with Chief Dillon and the Department of Neighborhood Development, we announced last month a significant increase in support that we give to first-time homebuyers citywide. This will make the dream of owning a home and access to the wealth building asset a reality for far more of our residents in this city. We're offering up to $40,000 in down payment assistance. This more than triples the amount we previously provided, which was up to $10,000. As mayor, I have an even deeper appreciation for our city, and above all, the work that goes into making Boston stronger every single day. As I reflect on the first 100 days, I am reminded that, like this meeting house, Boston is built by the hard work and skilled hands of many. At our best, we are organizing, we are advocating, and we are taking on the challenges that lead to a more just, a more prosperous, and a more joyous community. All of you in this room and many, many more who are watching across our city are doing that work each and every day, and I thank you for it. I thank you for it. With us here today, we have city residents, city staff, and members of my transition committee. 160 members of the public served on that transition committee. Each brought their love of Boston and their perspectives on its future. Together, they drafted a set of recommendations for how we recover from this pandemic and lay the groundwork for a stronger city going forward. Those recommendations are being posted on the city's website today, and I do have a sneak preview copy with me here today. Hot off the presses. The recommendations are being posted, as I mentioned, on the city's website, and they cover in areas ranging from public health to public education, from economic development to housing, from transportation and climate justice to safety and healing. My transition committee was co-chaired by Linda Dorsina Forey, Betty Francisco, Steve Grossman, Quincy Miller, and Kate Walsh. And the work was facilitated by the Rappaport Institute at Harvard University and by my transition director, Gustavo Quiroga. I need you guys to give it up again for Gustavo Quiroga. I am eternally grateful to you and all of the transition committee members for your purpose-driven passion for creating a better Boston for all. Importantly, many of the transition recommendations have already been implemented. We have made great strides in expanding equitable vaccine access, supporting businesses in reopening, and getting our children back to school safely. We have stood up for climate and racial justice and proposed projects, and we have worked to change how our community responds to mental health crises. Another of those recommendations we are moving forward today on, and that is to increase equity and reduce disparities for children and youth in Boston and provide for more coordinated services for families. I am proud to announce that we will be forming a children's and youth cabinet. I have spent most of my career advocating for equity and excellence and youth opportunities in this city. And I know a wealth of opportunities we provide, but the total is less than the sum of its parts. We can do more if we work better together to serve our young people. That is the purpose of the Children's and Youth Cabinet, and it will be convening city cabinet chiefs and department heads who serve young people in our city aged 0 to 24. It will work to coordinate the services that the city provides and optimize our partnerships with nonprofit organizations, faith-based partners, and the Boston Public Schools, higher education institutions, and employers. Two of my cabinet members leading this effort will be Dr. Brenda Caselius, our school superintendent, and Dr. Mary Churchill, my chief of policy and planning. Please give it up for them. Dr. Caselius served in a similar role in Minnesota as the Commissioner of Education for the state, and Chief Churchill has deep relationships with academic institutions all across the city. In many respects, Boston is the best city in the world. But too many of our children and families are not getting their needs met. To get there, we need to wrap the services of the whole city around each one of our young people, and this new Children's and Youth Cabinet will help us do that. We also do that by improving our school buildings. Last month, I broke ground on the building of a new Josiah Quincy Upper School, and I want to recognize the coordination between the Boston Public Schools and Chief Dion Irish in this work to create great spaces for our young people, for our children to learn across our city. Please give it up for our Chief. This type of cross-administration and cross-city coordination is not new. In fact, it is the hallmark of how we've been fighting the COVID-19 pandemic, and the results prove the model. As of today, new cases of COVID are at a record low. 65% of our residents have received at least one dose of the vaccine, and for some of our hardest hit by the pandemic, our seniors, over 75% are fully vaccinated. I want to thank Chief Martinez, who has been spearheading much of this coordination. He has been spearheading much of this coordination across our city over the last 16 months. His efforts and the efforts of the entire team has saved lives and made our city more resilient. I also want to thank the efforts of Chief Hooley, who is here today, for the mobile vaccine clinics that I had the opportunity and pleasure to join, meeting people exactly where they are and getting the vaccine. I also want to celebrate and thank one of those team members who are on our public health team. Following a career of public health leadership and a focus on recovery services, Rita Nieves stepped in as the city's interim executive director of the Public Health Commission in December of 2019. This was just a few months before the first documented case of COVID in our city. She offered to serve in this role in advance of an expected retirement. She has done an exceptional job leading her team through this crisis and, for the benefit of the city, putting off her retirement. Today, with the progress we have made, retirement will come at the end of the summer. Rita, on behalf of the entire city, you have my eternal thanks. As we continue our recovery from COVID, I know how important the work of our Boston Public Health Commission is and will continue to be throughout this pandemic and all of our public health challenges. Because of that, I am proud to announce that the Board of Health just last night appointed Dr. Bisola Oji-Kutu as the next executive director of the Boston Public Health Commission. Dr. Oji-Kutu is an infectious disease doctor at Mass General Brigham. She has dedicated her career to addressing health disparities and the systems that cause them. I am so excited that Dr. Oji-Kutu will begin her leadership of the Health Commission starting September 1st. Please join me in welcoming her. COVID-19 exacerbated the health disparities that already existed in our city. Just as we have done to combat COVID, we will be putting forward a health equity plan that organizes resources and policies. Race, ethnicity, gender, or income should never dictate your health outcomes. Our public health recovery is the foundation for our city's economic recovery, and our economy is recovering. The unemployment rate has dropped from 16% a year ago to roughly 6% today, and economic activity continues to pick up. Part of the reason for a strong recovery are the programs that Chief Dillon and Chief Morikawa and their teams put in place to provide stability for renters, homeowners, and small businesses. For example, nearly 3,000 renters have used the city's rental relief fund to date. This includes residents like Tyson, a single dad from JP, who is facing eviction. He used the rental relief fund money to move to a new unit in Dorchester. The fund covered his first, last, and security deposit. With our help, Tyson is happy to be in his new apartment with his son. Sarah, a healthcare professional from Mission Hill,
had her hours cut during the height of the pandemic and was using her savings to pay her rent. She applied for rental relief funds to pay future rent. We helped her out, and now she can use her earnings to support her family. This program will become even more critical once the eviction moratorium expires at the end of this month. We encourage every tenant who may be in need to reach out, and our economic support programs go far beyond rental relief. For small businesses who may be facing similar challenges, we distributed $16 million to over 4,000 small businesses. And we added an additional $16 million to commercial rent relief and small business support. For workers who are looking for new career opportunities, we've allocated $1 million in job training in those industries that were hardest hit and $1 million in job training for artists so that we can have wonderful folks like Ashley or Bill. And last night, we hosted our first Community Advisory Board meeting with community partners in labor, environmental justice, and education to shape $4 million of investment in green jobs. And for businesses interested in contracting with the city, we've staffed up our supplier diversity team and issued 56 capacity building grants to businesses under the leadership of our new Chief of Equity and Inclusion, Selena Barrios-Milner. All of these efforts stabilize our economy and accelerate our recovery. In addition, they will help us address the wealth and wage disparities that exist in our city. Prior to the pandemic, the gaps in employment, wages, and particular wealth were stark across race and ethnicity. Those gaps are markers of years, decades, and centuries of inequitable policies, policies we are committed to changing together. Now, change in our city can be tough. We are a city of engaged residents with deeply held and well-articulated perspectives. I am a firm believer, however, that we go farther as a city when we give space to this dialogue, when we value engagement, and when we respect alternative views. That is why I am so pleased that through this budget we passed, we will be creating the city's Office of Participatory Budgeting. This will allow even more people to directly impact how their tax dollars are being invested. To build a strong community, you must provide an opportunity to involve everyone. And you must also provide safety for all. I want to give credit to the police department and to Superintendent in Chief Greg Long. This year, Part 1 crime is down 18%. Firearm arrests are up 25%. The department is putting in place reforms to build greater trust with the public, and through the work of Chief Aisha Miller, we have launched the city's Office of Police Accountability and Transparency under the leadership of Stephanie Everett. We are also taking steps to increase the role of mental health workers and reduce the role of BPD where appropriate in responding to mental health crises. Last night, we held our first community meeting on the future of mental health crisis response in Boston, and next month we will be releasing the pilot plan. Safety, justice, and healing in our community can also be encouraged by what I call the Joy Agenda. This is a citywide invitation to reimagine our city in a way that centers and celebrates joy, and it encourages opportunities for collective healing and for investing in imagination and creativity. Whether that is a block party, a barbecue with neighbors, a stroll in Franklin Park with family, or taking in this weekend's fireworks on the Boston Common with friends. The Joy Agenda is about helping people reconnect and strengthening community ties. As a Black woman who is also the granddaughter of a Baptist preacher, I know it is joy that helped my ancestors persevere. It gave them hope. Let's continue that faith tradition of God's great joy. Sweet, beautiful, soul-saving joy. And as we tap into our inner joy, let us be inspired by the early African-American residents of Beacon Hill who came together on the southern slope with shared values to set priorities for the emerging community we now call the city of Boston. Because as we have seen from this space that we are gathered in today, and as I have witnessed in the last 100 days as your mayor, our city and her people can achieve anything when we work together. Thank you so much. Now, without further ado, please remain standing and welcome the talented Danny Rivera, who will bless us with Lift Every Voice and Sing. Danny.
I feel the weight of progress in the room. Dr. King reminded us that there are short-term victories that's going to get us to the whole victory that he saw on the mountaintop. Can you look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, I'm going to see a victory. Shall we sing together? Lift every voice and sing until earth and heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening sky. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Everyone say, sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us, and sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us, facing the rising sun of our new day begun. Let us march on. Oh, let us us march on. We gotta keep marching until victory is won. Let us march on until victory is won.